As Chris Rovzar writes for Bloomberg, quote, as my dad told me, when you retire, you don't just become a different person. You're the same guy, just in a new scenario. And I know I'd like to enter that scenario feeling, and yes, looking as good as possible. Chris joins us now. So first of all, how's your dad doing with his aspirations of millennial hotness? Or I guess he's older, but...
My dad is not worried about his Hotspan, which is what we're talking about in the story.
Hotspan is the phrase.
And
okay.
he read the story, was like, Hotspan, okay. And I was like, well, it's like, for people like maybe like at middle age. But yes, he's doing great. He's very healthy. And that's one of the morals of this story is like actually staying healthy through your retirement and beyond, like will make you feel better and like incidentally look better.
How much of this is image and then how much of it is functionality? Because I know a bunch of women who all of a sudden in their 40s are like, I'm lifting weights, but it's less because we want to look hot. I mean, we all want to look hot, but it's more like we want to be able to be mobile longer in our lives.
Correct.
And then, so talk us through the balance there.
Well, that's like a really interesting point that you raise. So this story is about men at midlife because women at midlife have been so forward thinking about this for much longer and also under societal pressures that men are only kind of recently in pop culture being put under. I know, like, yes, thank you. It's so nice to be here. Thank you.
It's terrible. You'll love it here.
It's terrible. Love it. Yeah. So like, because of the obsession with longevity science, which became health span, which is exactly what you're talking about, like saying be fit and healthy into your old age. So it's actually like a nice time to be alive. There has become this huge influence from like manosphere podcasts and all this stuff for men to suddenly look at themselves and see themselves in pop culture aging through 40 and 50 and like having different expectations of how we move through the world, how we look and all that. And so there's a lot of medicine and money behind it as men are finally like, oh, wait, I'm not supposed to give up when I get near retirement. I'm supposed to keep going. And I myself like really was just like had it in my head. I'm like, retirement is for margaritas. It's not for counting macros.
I love that.
And I will.
That needs to be in cursive on a sign somewhere, but yes.
Right. And I feel like I have to call out David Gura because you guys talked about this story when it came out.
Very uncomfortable talking about this. Yes.
Do you go to the gym? Do you work out?
I'm not going to answer any of these questions for you.
So funny. His face was like the emoji that's just two dots in a straight line.
Yes.
You guys were like, how do you feel about having to be hot into your 60s? He's like, it was so good.
Do you go to the gym, David Gura?
But
no reaction.
Like I relate, right? Like there's a guy at my gym who's like must be in his 60s. He looks like Tarzan, incredible. And all my friends are like, I want to look like that guy when I'm that age. And I'm like,
but you're saying it's more than just a gym. Like this is a lot of money. Like how much money are these men spending? We're talking about plastic surgery. I mean, we're talking about a whole bunch.
Yes. So this story, I talked to people who do plastic surgery, who surgeons, and for people who receive plastic surgery. Hair transplants is really big nowadays.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's all the like peptide science, like, you know, the lifespan stuff that is kind of pretty experimental at this time, but there's a lot of concierge doctors that are coming up sort of just to prescribe you these hot, like medications that are sort of like trendy right now.
It's the awareness of things that men can do in a way that, to your point, women have known about and have felt obligated to do for much longer. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's something men are having to spend money on.
Well, Ozempic was a big social unlock, right? Like Ozempic and all the GLP-1s, because you couldn't hide what like a radical change in your body. And celebrities also started talking about it. So then everybody kind of started talking about it. And there's nothing shameful about it.
No.
And then that extended to something like hair transplants, where like also can't really hide that, you know.
And also men are talking about it. Celebrity men are being very open about it.
Yeah. Right. Especially John Cena got a hair transplant. He was like, fans used to make fun of me and I just got tired of it and I got a hair transplant.
But then you look at like a Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, like they look amazing.
Yeah. I mean, well, we don't know.
Up to this, but you don't know.
I mean, exactly. Do some Googling. There are some changes that have happened with them as well. I mean, so what's the takeaway? Part of me karmically thinks this is great and you all should suffer along with us. Mm-hmm. And then honestly, part of me is a little bit sad because it is a lot to have to deal with. You should be able to embrace the later half of life, health aside, and not care as much about your image. Is there a concern that this is going to make people miserable?
I hope not. I mean, the way I started this story was I was like, when I retire, I want to be like Galadriel and Lord of the Rings and diminish and recede into the west. Oh, and no one will see me again.
My brother's going to love that reference.
And think about whether I'm desirable or anything like that. And then by the end of the story, I talked to so many people who had been really taking care of themselves through their, men and women, through their 60s into their 70s and beyond. And the people who made decisions to start taking care of themselves for whatever reason, often for health, sometimes for looks, sometimes for both, those people were so much happier. And one of the doctors that got into this concierge medicine practice I talked to, Dr. Wesley Spiro, he was like, I used to be an emergency room doctor, and I was dealing with people who would come in with type 2 diabetes and renal failure in their 60s and 70s because they didn't know. Like, they didn't know that they needed to be taking care of themselves or that anything was wrong. And it wasn't like, I want to look like a Marvel superhero when I'm 70. It was like, I just want to be happy and walk around and be the best version of myself. And so actually, I'm hoping that this eye-opening stuff with surgery or without is actually going to help us all be in kind of a better place.
Literally or metaphorically eye-opening. Chris Rovzar, thank you so much. It was fascinating. Please come back. What do we think, guys?
Thanks for including me in that, guys.
Is this, I don't know if we can see.
I can go away and still be
I drew the little emoji.
It's called the neutral face emoji, I think is the official name.
Do you have a neutral face? I have a terrible neutral face, but
generic David Gura face is the neutral face.
She's meaner. I don't know.
Listen, appreciated both of you.
I wish I had a neutral face. This is one of my bigger problems in life.
I'll allow that Chris saw me in the pantry here at Bloomberg after that moment and remarked on what my face. He was
very disappointed you weren't here in person. He clearly came prepared to discuss your expression.